I love Makima, she's great. I also really hate Makima, and still she's great. This arc is a total mess in a positive way. After we have talked about the ending of a character, it's only the natural outcome to move forward to the ending of a story, one of the most crucial aspects of it all. It's the final impression, the last feeling you're leaving your audience with. Hence, a good ending doesn't just simply wrap things up, it defines how the story is remembered and has the responsibility to leave the audience feeling satisfied, or do something completely crazy. Chainsaw Man has a last arc that truly embodies the essence of the story and does everything to end a long-awaited character progression and shows the true intentions of one of the most mysterious figures within its world. I love the Control Devil arc from beginning to end. It's a clusterfuck that leaves nothing but devastation behind, basically taking all of my already destroyed emotions I felt in the two previous arcs and just doubles the devastation factor, ripping my last left sanity apart. For a lot of people, this arc might be a little fast. It's the part of the story where the pacing isn't even comparable to the speed of a train anymore, but to a fucking rocket. It feels faster than any other arc we have seen before. From one chapter to another, a complete new plot could open up at any time, and the entire story turned upside down. It's an emotional hell ride because of how fast everything happens. And for some, this might be irritating and confusing, but that's exactly what I love so much about it. We already started the crucial point of the story, seeing how Denji handles the aftermath of the tragedy that occurred at the end of the Gun Devil arc. How he's trying to process how ignorance could lead him to a happier life, and the impact of killing Aki, becoming severely depressed through it, vomiting by the sheer font of being called the winner. Just to get to see the person that is the sole reason for his travesty, Makima again, taking him to her home so she can use his sadness to build him back up so she can push him even deeper down. So when Makima invites Denji over, she's showing her dogs, acting extremely cute, so Denji feels good. And instantly when he shows some weakness, wishing to not think on his own anymore, asking if he could become her dog to escape all this desperation, so he doesn't need to make any decision for himself anymore, it's a moment that is first, yes, very weird and so Chainsaw Man, and second speaks so much for Denji's current point in life. His explanation makes sense, and I can understand him after all he went through. Makima feels like the last safe space next to power he has. She feels as if she knows what to do, and so he just wants her to make his life good, as she already did at the beginning of the story. This moment hits so hard, and I feel so ridiculous that I can understand Denji. And all of this feels so relatable and understandable exactly because the last two arcs were written to lead to this exact moment. The concept of ignorance and being controlled was introduced to Denji through the International Assassins, and the Gun Devil arc opened up his realization towards his love for his family and the pain that happens when he has to make a hard decision such as killing his brother. This is why him asking for being her dog makes so sense. And still, this ignorance results in yet another travesty, the death of power, ending in him losing any interest in life and in the successful execution of Makima's plan. This moment is a cruel beginning, like you didn't even process the death of Aki, one to me most monumental moments of the story, yet Fujimoto decides to show you right from the get-go how this arc and this story will continue right where it left off. Everything, literally everything the story has built up to this point. All these secrets such as the door, Makima's true intentions and the existence of Chainsaw Man are being told in what? 3 chapters? It's the beginning of the arc and makes such a tiny fraction, but opens up of what this arc will be truly about. The Control Devil and Denji's last jump out of hell and back into his life. Whatever it will look like after this. And even though this arc is so stacked, without letting you even breath for a single second, what I admire about it is that even though it features the most fights of all the arcs and a lot of reveals that shock you over and over again, it still stays to its core, telling a story about its characters and most importantly, its antagonist. Makima is a character that was always mysterious. There was certainly a lot going around her throughout the story that clearly painted a bigger picture of her having ulterior motives, that she's following a different goal. But still, all the time, she somewhat felt like in the end, she isn't bad, right? I questioned her a lot for my first read and saw her always as the antagonist, But it still took me until she made the contract with Aki that I really considered her as actually the antagonist. I still believed somehow that there's much more to her that I don't understand, that I need more information to make a clearer judgment. This is what makes her specifically so special as an antagonist, because I try to believe in her to the very end, until she reveals it all herself. Chapter 81 and 82 are absolute game changers. While seeing her helping out Denji, there's always this uneasy feeling. As the reader, you're aware of what she did and you are scared for Denji, but through her dogs and being so nice to him, it's almost as if you got it all wrong. How can such a person be an antagonist? Be bad, it's ridiculous. She kills Power. Yeah, that's the point where we reach something unforgivable. She crushes Denji. She tells him about his past, about her plan, about everything. You can't make it clearer than that. No more information needed. But at this point, it's too late. This information won't change Denji, it only changes the reader's perception towards her. And it's what makes her reveal so truly amazing, because Makima feels so weird. A feeling I can't really explain with words. Reading her in action feels always a tiny bit unease, but somehow she always seems to be good. She has great and nice moments and I would bark for her at any time. And that's what in the end manipulation is. She is the control devil. And Fujimoto just conveyed the feeling and concept of her perfectly. She always was obviously bad, but manipulates you into thinking otherwise. At least me. This aspect of her is what makes her so crazy. She doesn't have a clear backstory. Her goals are only known in the end of the story. Still, the reason behind them aren't. You get nothing more than woman bad. Because it doesn't matter. What makes Makima so good is that she's cut down just a feeling. Or with modern anime terms, she has aura. Wherever Makima is, she directly dominates the room. Whenever we see her in a panel or interact with someone else, her small smile and her deep horrifying eyes are always catching the attention first. As Fujimoto always draws them no matter how small the panel is. Her dominance in front of Denji, what you feel when seeing her. All of this contributes that she works so much in this arc. Before, you never saw Makima doing more than her small empty smile. But in this arc, she breaks out in an uncontrollable laugh, wants to kill Denji with her own bare hands, has a little fun when fighting the Chainsaw Man. For a person that almost the entire rest of the time is empty smiling, those are a lot of emotions to show. And now, finally being the main antagonist, we finally get to see who Makima really is. When it's about writing an antagonist, I really love when they embody certain characteristics that play into the bigger narrative, as they are the main embodiment of the story of the arc. Especially within deeper stories, an antagonist that embodies the different side of the coin, that represents another view on something, that contributes into making you rethink the view of the protagonist, is so standard but can become something truly amazing and thought-provoking, if executed correctly, letting the story and its antagonist living rent-free inside my head for a very long time. Makima is not entirely like this, but at the same time, she kinda is. She's a character that is antagonistic, but it's almost like she was going through an entire different story. She does contribute to the bigger narrative, trying to live a happy life either through erasing herself or creating the perfect world through whatever necessary evil she has to take on her path. She truly embodies the story's big narrative. And even though we never get to know the reasoning behind her actions, she still presents for Denji in a position by preaching that all bad must be erased, while Denji learned throughout his life that the bad must exist to create the good. There's a lot about Makima you can talk about, but this needs to wait until her own designated video. But I love her as an antagonist. She's amazing and truly one of the greatest evils of all of manga. A whole another thing I think is extremely interesting about this arc is the question of how to resolve the fights. Because I don't know if you realized it, but Chainsaw Man has to handle some hefty characters within this arc. Something shonen struggles now and then with is the principle of scaling. Every enemy has to be stronger than the other, so they represent a force to be feared, always scaling higher and higher. Often it ends in creating a last antagonist so strong, beating them in a convincing and satisfying way proves to be a task as big as the fight for the characters in the story itself. Fujimoto isn't even following the normal shonen structure that forces his enemies to constantly grow in strength. The scaling is more chaotic and the resolution of the fights are decided through narrative-driven actions and not sheer strength. Still, he decided for characterization reasons to make Makima literally invincible. Making her so strong, she's only able to be defeated by the second nearly undefeatable monster he created simultaneously within this arc. arc. That is, Chainsaw Man. A monster so strong that he was able to fight all the weapon devils and the 4 horsemen of Apocalypse at once, alone. Being basically the death devil for all devils, feared by literally everyone. And Fujimoto presents his strength in the best and most obvious way. He's spawning in this world, one-shotting the Hell Devil in mere seconds, and fights for a short time in hell against the mass of devils, coming out as the unscratched winner. He also makes the difference between Denji and him very fast, very clear, by defeating the Katana Devil, even if he uses his special moves that Denji had so much problems with against it. For Chainsaw Man, that isn't even a task to move for, winning without lifting a single finger or a chainsaw. And it all breaks down to that Fujimoto introduces not just 1, but 2 seemingly unstoppable monsters, both of whom need to be defeated in a way that actually feels convincing. And I must admit, I'm completely satisfied with how he pulled it off. Before I elaborate, I have the urge to tell you that the fight between Chainsaw Man and the Weapon Devils is an absolute blast, pure chaotic fun from start to finish. I absolutely love how he fights with his chainsaws, how well he understands his own abilities. As Beam hinted back in the Bomb Devil arc, there's so much untapped potential in this transformation, and now we finally get to see it. Something we were never able to fully explore with Denji, as it just wouldn't fit him, exciting my shonen degeneracy. I love how Makima is shooting him out of the atmosphere, but he just rips out his heart and throws it back on Earth, regenerating instantly, going back into the fight. It's so cool, being a small callback to Fire Punch and also super creative. And so is his end, being resolved by using the power scaling system of devils in such a creative but simple way. A devil's strength is determined by how much it's feared, especially Chainsaw Man, who gains his strength not only from the fear of humans alone, but also from the devils who fear to be erased. Using this very down-to-earth rule against him is a clever way to weaken an extremely powerful character. It's due to the good preparation and the long plan Makima created that she in the end wins against him. The only problem I have with it is that I always understood it as that the power is like an accumulation of fear that gets directly converted to power. Hence, the sheer mass of individuals that fear Chainsaw Man are already making him so strong he could rival death. But how Makima explains it, it doesn't seem to fit my explanation. The joy the humans feel about Chainsaw Man and them cheering him on directly sucks the strength out of him. With the previous assumption of the mass defines the strength, I don't think the Japanese citizen, even if it's all of them, would make such a big impact on this huge accumulation of fear. And honestly, this always bugs me a little. It's still a fascinating idea, and I think it's the most creative and coolest way to defeat him. Especially because it highlights how much preparation Makima actually did to achieve this goal. When it comes to Makima herself, I think she's one of the more divisive figures in the community. She's essentially an unkillable, invincible entity. Taking her down isn't just about wearing her down or weakening her. It's far more complex than that. The last fight of an arc in Chainsaw Man always contributes to the greater narrative of the story and the arc itself. Denji vs Makima is no exception. It's a fight about the view on the world and the end of their relation. And obviously it's by far the most important fight for the narrative of the entire story. But first and foremost, I love that Denji again got a severe power up through subconsciously understanding parts of what he can do through directly witnessing Chainsaw Man, using those techniques right after, giving him in a convincing way the tools to trick Makima later on. The paneling of Makima vs Denji's is always exceptional. Her completely emotionless beating with her bare fist the crap out of him, while also dying for a short time in between, is crazy. But whoa, the resolution of it is super interesting. Denji is able to defeat her by tricking her into letting her guard down by giving her the chainsaw heart through the clone, attacking her from the back, stopping her regeneration by letting a chainsaw made with Power's blood go rampage in her, ending this fight with one of the most "what am I reading here" moments out of the whole work Chainsaw Man. Connecting Chainsaw Man's abilities of erasing whatever he eats with Denji's idea, doing the exact same. The explanation though isn't that it's his hybrid form that allows him to do that, erasing her through eating her. The explanation is that he was able to somehow bypass the contract Makima made with the Prime Minister that grant her this invincibility, by doing what he did not to harm her but because he loves her, resulting in this attack not counting as an attack. And I get why this could feel a little cheesy and actually like an ass pull, and whatever you think of this explanation, I personally must say that it's a really great ending of this fight. Denji's only able to jump Makima in the first place because she never recognized him, because all she always saw was Pochta, not him. It's a brutal truth that allows him to win at the end, and narratively speaking, combined with how he gets rid of her at the end, it encapsulates both of their emotions towards each other through this fight. Denji will always love her, while Makima didn't even ever truly recognize him, nor when like him. And so both of their emotions is the reason behind who won and who lost. I think the resolution itself is a really good one, that fits their character dynamic really greatly. So after this entire fight, Chainsaw Man is over. All the big story threads are closed, and now the only thing that is left open is the future and the aftermath. And without a doubt, it's great. After everything Chainsaw Man put us through, I didn't really expect a good ending. I mean, this series thrives on chaos and suffering, so the idea of a neat, happy resolution after everything that you went through is almost impossible. But somehow, despite all of that, the ending leaves us surprisingly hopeful. I really love the idea of Denji living together and parenting the reincarnation of Makima. It gives the Control Devil a new chance in life and Makima the chance to fulfill her dream of a relationship through Nayuta. What I didn't like about it though, is that it felt cheap that Pochta is just telling everything at the end. It makes totally sense that Denji had to get rid of Makima quick to stay ignorant, to stay happy, but such a crucial information that plays an important part in characterizing Makima should have come directly from her. Maybe earlier when she was still alive, or through someone relatively close like, I don't know, Nayuta. Another thing that might be a little upsetting is how fast everything was. Many things are left unexplained, most importantly, Makima herself. But personally speaking, I think that it's good that Makima never got a flashback or something similar. You can see a lot through her behavior, and the implications of Kishibe when it's about Nayuta can come to a relatively satisfying conclusion about what created Makima in the first place. Overall, the idea behind the ending is handled perfectly in my opinion, answering the question of how can Denji make Nayuta happen, or in other words, also the conclusion to how to live a happy life. It just does the same as he did with Pochta, giving her a lot of hugs, creating a new family with her and the dogs, seeking another deep bond. It's just very wholesome, and it's everything Chainsaw Man always moved towards too, and perfectly closes the circle of the beginning and the end.